Hey, what's up, everyone? In today's episode, I'm going to show you how I lower the child support of my clients in divorce by up to 60% and sometimes even more. Sometimes the other side is paying my clients child support when all is said and done. So, we're going to go over this in 4 different steps. First, I'm going to talk to you about how child support works in Illinois. Then, we're going to talk about the difference between real time that you spend with your kids and real effort versus child support time and effort. Then, we're going to break down some real life numbers. We're going to go to the paper and I'm going to show you exactly how this works so you can see the math and the proof is in the pudding. And then finally, we're going to talk about some challenges in implementing the strategy and the tips that I give my clients in order to be most successful when implementing this strategy. My name is Bobby Buchanan. I'm a divorce lawyer in Illinois, and this is Illinois Divorce TV. So let's dive in. First things first, how does child support work in Illinois? Well, we use the combined income method. And what that means is that you take the gross income of parent one, gross income of parent two, you combine those, and then you factor in the number of overnights the child is spending with each parent, and that's going to spit out a child support number. There is not a lot of wiggle room when it comes to child support, really. I mean, the only things that attorneys are really fighting over is what the incomes of the parties are. In some cases, that's very straightforward. If you have two W-2 employees who aren't getting commissions or bonuses or anything like that, then there's not a lot to fight over there. And then the other aspect is the number of overnights. And certainly that is where the most litigation happens, is how many overnights each parent can get. Now, there is a good amount of litigation that can happen on the income front if one of the parties or both of the parties has some sort of income earning position or asset that is not consistent. So you could have somebody who earns a big bonus at the end of the year, or commissions through some sort of sales job, or maybe they have an income producing property or some other asset that isn't consistent in any sort of way that both parties can agree on what the income should be. So there could be litigation over there, but really the rubber hits the road when it comes to overnights. I'm gonna show you why. But the thing you need to understand about overnights is that there are certain thresholds of under overnights. So the first threshold is 40%. If you have 40% of the overnights, your child support's going to drop drastically. Then you get to the 50% mark. Nothing, magical happens at the 50% mark. It's really about the 40 and the 60% marks. Once you get to the 60% mark, then you're looking at child support going in the other direction. And I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. So that gets us to our second point here, and that is the difference between real time and child support time. Because the law doesn't give you any credit for doing anything but overnights. So if you have a situation where logistically you're able to care for the children, you're able to get them up, you're able to feed them breakfast, get them off to school, you're the parent who's available during the school hours should they need anything, you're the parent that picks them up, you're the parent that gets their homework done with them, that makes them breakfast, that gets them all the way to bedtime, and then for whatever reason, maybe it's your employment or just logistically or whatever the case may be, the other parent's doing the overnights, and then you do the whole thing again the next day. You go to pick them up, you do breakfast, you get them off to school, etc., etc. Who's the parent that's going to be doing the bulk of the work? It's going to be the parent that has the kids during the day. Who is the parent that is going to get the most benefit as far as child support goes? It's going to be the parent that actually does the overnights. Like it or not, that is the way it is. The parent that doesn't have any of the overnights in that scenario doesn't get any credit child support wise. And so let's break it down so you can actually see what I mean, and you can see how impactful it is to have overnights in your custody situation as it affects child support. So let me go to the monitor here, and now you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So on my whiteboard here, we have parent 1 right here, and then we have parent 2 right here, and I've broken down the hypothetical income of each one. So we have $5,000 per month for parent 1 and $12,000 for one per month for parent 2 and 3 kids. Below this, we have a table. We got overnights for parent 1, parent 2, and then the child support amount that results from that situation. So look at how impactful these overnights can be. In the first row, we have parent 1 getting 220 overnights. That's just over 60% of the overnights. Parent 2 has 145 overnights. Parent 2 is on the hook for, and I rounded these numbers. If you go to the child support calculator and put these in, it's not going to be exactly these numbers, but I rounded them just for the sake of this lesson. I changed them just by 20, 30 bucks here and there. $2,200 per month that the parent 2 is going to have to pay. Now, if we just bump, and this is where it gets so crazy, and I think they should change the child support law because this just doesn't make any sense to really anybody who does this, but no one's talking about it really, is the number of overnights goes from 220 for parent 1 down to 219. And the number of overnights for parent 2 goes up to 146. And what do we have? We have a reduction in the child support amount by 38% down to $1,350. That is a huge amount. You extrapolate that over 18 years, that's what is roughly $850 per month for 18 years. That's like $10,000 a year. $180,000 over 18 years because you have one more overnight per year, because you have 18 more overnights. Tell me how that makes sense. Now, let's go to the next one where we get to parent 1 having, this is like the 50-50 schedule, 183 overnights and 182 overnights. We're right here. The child support goes down again and this goes down 59% from the original 2,200 down to the 900. That's a 59% drop. Goes down to $900 per month. Next, we flip it, and parent 2 is now the primary parent. Now, I just did this one to show you that there's nothing magical about the 50-50 spot, about having one more overnight. The child support is roughly the same. It's $900 in both of those scenarios. I rounded again. If you put it into the calculator, you'll see it's slightly different, but not anything worth talking about. And now we jump to the next scenario where we are paying child support from parent 1 to parent 2. This is where parent 2 has approximately 40% or slightly over 40% of the overnights at 219. In that scenario, parent 2, although they make more than double parent 1, is going to receive $425 per month. And then when parent 2 jumps into that over 60% of the overnights bracket right here, they are going to max out their child support at $1,000. The reason that I didn't do the table more here and do, say, 300 overnights here and 165 is because it's the same. You max out at this point. The calculator doesn't factor in the individual number of overnights after you get past that 60% mark. So there you have it. The proof is in the pudding, if you will. That's why it's so important to get your overnights in a divorce when it comes to the child support question. Now, how do you do it? That is the $1 million question. And the short answer is that you need to be establishing yourself as the go-to parent, as the stable parent, as the parent that is there during the day. You're not going to be able to, you're going to have a much harder time convincing a judge to flip the status quo. Judges love to look at the status quo because it speaks to stability. So, what are the kids doing now? So, if you're an uninvolved parent, if you're just working 24/7 and you're totally detached from the parenting role, it's going to be very difficult to come into court and say, Judge, I want 50-50 time now, because that's going to upend the children's routine completely. So you're better off making sure that you are modifying how the parenting is going before the divorce process even starts. The other key area here is where people lose a lot of leverage is that they move out of the house during the divorce process or before the divorce process without establishing that they're going to be the 50-50 parent. So what happens is that their schedule goes, they move out, and then one parent says, okay, I'm still living with the kids. I'm going to be the majority parent. You're the every other weekend parent. The parent that moved out doesn't have really any leverage to change that at this point because they've already moved out. And then the case is filed and you have this new status quo where the parent who moved out is relegated to this every other weekend role, and they have a really hard time clawing back the time that they lost, and they find themselves paying the maximum child support. So those are the two big things. Is you want to make sure that you are pushing towards the schedule that you ultimately want before you get into a litigation stance. And two, when you are in a litigation stance or before that you're not moving out and destroying the leverage that you could have, because remaining in the house and then separating with the advice and the negotiation of a lawyer is much more effective than moving out and then trying to negotiate. I hope this video has been helpful. Give us a subscribe, comment, let us know what you want to hear more about, and we'll see you on the next episode.